willing to give up everything, recognizing the supreme worth of the kingdom of heaven. The parable calls us to reevaluate our priorities, surrender our lives to God, and seek His kingdom above all else. The person of true wisdom like Solomon will seek the reign of God and treasure it above all else. It is more precious than gold and silver. Thus one becomes conformed to the image of Christ the Son. Welcome to the homily, 17th Sunday of Ordinary Time. The Gospel passage comes from Matthew chapter 13, 44 to 52. Jesus uses several parables to teach His disciples about the kingdom of heaven. Through these parables, He reveals to us the tremendous value and significance of the kingdom and how we should respond to its discovery. In these two parables, Jesus illustrates the value of the kingdom of heaven using familiar concepts of hidden treasure and fine pearls. In the first parable, a man discovers a treasure in a field and willingly sells everything he has to possess it. The second parable, a merchant searching for valuable pearls, and upon finding a priceless one, he gives up everything to obtain it. The main point is the incomparable worth of the kingdom of heaven, which should be pursued above all else. These parables emphasize the joy and willingness to sacrifice in obtaining God's kingdom. Once we know how important God's kingdom in our life, we will move to joy and willingness to share and to sacrifice things that hinder in obtaining God's kingdom. The first reading comes from 1 Kings chapter 3 and the second reading comes from Romans chapter 8. We witness a remarkable interaction between Solomon and God. Solomon had the opportunity to ask for anything he desired, yet he humbly and selflessly requested wisdom and understanding. His request pleased the Lord, and God not only granted him wisdom, but also recognized him as the wisest person to have ever lived. Solomon recognized the immense value of wisdom, understanding that it was more precious than wealth, power, or personal gain. In our world today, we often are encouraged to seek material success and worldly achievements, but true wisdom surpasses all of that. It is the knowledge and discernment to make choices that align with God's will and bring about lasting good in our lives and the lives of others. In Romans chapter 8, 28-30, St. Paul reminds us of the incredible love and providence of God in our lives. We can find comfort and reassurance in knowing that all things, both joys and challenges, work for our good when we love God and align ourselves with His purpose. Even when we face challenges or uncertainties, we can trust that God's providence is at work. He is orchestrating every detail of our lives, leading us towards our ultimate destiny. All things for good. The extraordinary value of the kingdom of heaven. In this parable, Jesus uses familiar scenarios from the culture of His time to illustrate spiritual truths about the kingdom of heaven. In the first parable, man discovers a hidden treasure in a field. While working in it, recognizing its great value, he joyfully sells all his possessions to buy the field and possesses the treasure. In the second parable, a merchant in search of fine pearls finds one exceptional value. Similarly, he sells everything he has to obtain that valuable pearl. During the time of Jesus, it was common for people to bury their valuable possession in the ground for safekeeping, especially in a place like Palestine, which was often affected by wars and invasions. Discovering hidden treasures was not unusual. The Jewish rabbinic law allowed the finder to claim ownership of lost items. In the first parable, the man acted within the legal and ethical boundaries of the time. The parable emphasized the extraordinary value of the kingdom of heaven. The man in the first parable and the merchant in the second parable demonstrate the willingness to give up everything for something of incomparable worth. The treasure and the pearl symbolize the kingdom of heaven, which is of such immeasurable value that surpasses any earthly possessions or pursuits. Question for this week: are you willing to give up for the kingdom of heaven? What is that holding on that is not enabling you to see the immeasurable value that God gives us? These parables teach us the importance of recognizing the supreme worth of the kingdom of heaven and being willing to give up everything for it. The message is not about the ethics of the actions taken by the characters in the stories, but about the surpassing value of the kingdom and the response demands from those who understand its worth. The extraordinary value of the kingdom of heaven. The parable of the merchant and the pearl emphasizes the possibility of radical change. This parable can teach us several lessons for our lives. Radical change. The gospel calls for a radical change through this parable. The merchant is willing to sell everything he has to possess the pearl, even changing his own identity and way of life. He was willing to give up everything to hold the pearl. The parable teaches us that change is not just about what we possess, but who we are. We live in a world of materialism. It is all how much I possess. But the parable calls to recognize that who we are. True change requires valuing justice and equality as a fundamental principles rather than mere words or occasional commitments. The change requires valuing justice and equality. The parables in the gospel calls us to be agents of such change as each person's embrace of transformation moves the world closer to the kingdom of God.